Donald Trump has hilariously mocked Democrat Ilhan Omar after she embarrassed herself with an unhinged outburst during the president's State of the Union address.
You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Tonight, we take a closer look at a highly contentious moment involving President Donald Trump and Ilhan Omar, where a State of the Union address shifted from a formal policy platform into a flashpoint for political confrontation. Moments like these are not just about what is said in the room, they reflect deeper divisions over immigration policy, executive accountability, and the boundaries of protest within democratic institutions. As reactions pour in from media, lawmakers, and the public, this incident raises broader questions about political strategy, messaging, and the evolving norms of conduct in Congress.
The president clapped back on Truth Social after the event, saying, "When you watch low IQ Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib as they screamed uncontrollably last night at the very elegant State of the Union, such an important and beautiful event, they had the bulging bloodshot eyes of crazy people, lunatics, mentally deranged and sick, who frankly look like they should be institutionalized. When people can behave like that and knowing that they are crooked and corrupt politicians, so bad for our country, we should send them back from where they came, as fast as possible. They can only damage the United States of America. They can do nothing to help it." But Omar was not hiding away. She appeared on CNN for what she presumably thought would be a softball interview, but was actually questioned by the host, Wolf Blitzer. Omar refused to back down or apologize for her behavior.
The House Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, advised your caucus, the Democratic members, to either skip the State of the Union address or sit there in silence. Should you have just boycotted the address, and do you think you violated the guidelines set out by your own leader?
No, I think it was really unavoidable. The president talked about protecting Americans, and I just had to remind him that his administration was responsible for killing two of my constituents.
In Minneapolis, many members of your Democratic Party criticized their Republican counterparts when they interrupted President Biden's State of the Union address, as a lot of us remember. Do you have any regrets at all about the interaction we played between you and President Trump just last night?
I do not, and I think many people look at that moment when the president says it is our responsibility to protect Americans, and he does not acknowledge the fact that two Americans, two of my constituents, two of our neighbors were killed. And it was important for me to just remind the American people that the president and his administration was responsible for killing two American citizens.
Online commentators blasted Omar, with national security expert Brigitte Gabriel saying, "Get her out of Congress. Ilhan Omar hates our country and she hates our president. Disgraceful behavior beneath her office tonight." And Florida Congressman Randy Fine agreed, simply saying, "You should be deported." Greg Gutfeld doubled down on Fox, saying Ilhan Omar repulses him.
I have to point out Ilhan Omar. She repulses me, and I'm trying to find out why, because she's not unattractive. She has an unusual amount and kind of anger. She has no right to that level of rage in the United States of America, the country who gave her corrupt ass a new life. It's not like she's a homeless Vietnam vet who can't get services and should be enraged at the government. She should be kissing the ground she walks on instead of spitting on it. And her anger also reminds me of the radical who, given power, would destroy you. She would show no mercy for you if you were below her. Like, the look on her face is somebody who would step on your neck instead of giving you a hand. And that is not the kind of person we should have in our leadership. It's not the type of person we should have in this country. And if we find out that she screwed up on her immigration stuff, she's got to go.
Yeah. And it wasn't only Ilhan Omar who was disrespectful during the State of the Union. Her Democrat colleagues may not have shouted like a banshee, but they refused to stand or respectfully applaud the president. CNN's Dana Bash forced Nancy Pelosi to re-watch some disrespectful moments from the Democrats, which she immediately attempted to downplay.
That was hardly noticeable in the room. It may have been more noticeable on TV. Hardly noticeable. And then also when he started talking about corruption, the members were saying, "What about you? What about you? What about you?" That was another, more of an outburst than that, actually. I don't think that there was that much, shall we say, departure from what the leader had guided us to do. Don't come if you don't want to come, but if you come, we don't want to give him a moment. And I don't think they gave him a moment.
And Trump checkmated the Democrats by asking them to stand if they agreed that the first duty of Congress is to protect American people, not illegals. The Democrats stayed seated, exposing the anti-American agenda of the party.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
And even CBS couldn't ignore it.
We have Major here at the table. I want to bring the conversation back here to our group watching along. Major, you've seen a lot of these, I think, more than any of us. What stood out to you?
Well, look, before the speech, many Republicans said one of the priorities for the president was to make sure Americans after this speech had a sense that the opposition party was off the rails, was crazy, their terminology, not mine. Many of the contrasts the president articulated tonight were to drive that message forward. That not only do I disagree with the opposition party sitting before me in Congress, but I disagree with them so strongly and they with me so much that they can't even applaud basic common sense thing. And that line that you mentioned, that he added to the speech, whether it was ad-libbed or not, the first obligation, American citizens versus illegal aliens, was meant to create a visual moment of perpetual contrast.
But there was one Democrat who retained his common sense throughout the State of the Union, and that was John Fetterman, who stood up and clapped for the things he believed in.
The rest of people in my party would stand up and clap for. I clapped with a lot of those things that it seemed like others. Like I stood up and I clapped to recognize the family that lost their daughter, the Ukrainian girl that was stabbed to death, in North Carolina. And I stood up and I clapped that political prisoner from Venezuela. How you can't celebrate.
What stands out in this moment is not just the confrontation itself, but how quickly it transitions into competing narratives. For some, disruptions like this are framed as necessary acts of protest, a way to challenge power in real time when traditional channels feel insufficient. For others, they represent a breakdown of institutional norms that are meant to preserve order and mutual respect during official proceedings. Leaders like Hakeem Jeffries have attempted to strike a balance by encouraging restraint, yet individual lawmakers often respond based on personal conviction, political pressure, or the expectations of their constituents. Meanwhile, media coverage amplifies specific moments, shaping how millions interpret what happened, sometimes reducing complex exchanges into viral clips or partisan talking points. This raises an important question for viewers: when does political expression cross into disruption, and who ultimately decides where that line is drawn? In the end, this moment reflects a larger shift in how politics is performed and consumed in the modern era. Events like the State of the Union are no longer just policy speeches, they are also stages for symbolic gestures, silent protests, and strategic messaging aimed at audiences far beyond the chamber. Reactions from figures across the political spectrum show how quickly these moments become part of a broader narrative battle, where perception can matter just as much as substance. At the same time, voters are left to interpret not only the policies being discussed, but the behavior of those representing them. Does visible dissent strengthen democratic accountability, or does it erode the sense of unity these events are meant to project? And how should leaders balance conviction with decorum in such a high-stakes setting? We want to hear from you. How did you interpret this exchange, and what does it say about the current state of political discourse? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you value clear, balanced breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the stories shaping today's political landscape.